Red pill, green binder. Most dads eat paint. I highlight and print. She didn't change overnight. You just weren't paying attention to the paperwork. The red pill gets this much right. Women negotiate covertly. What it misses is where the real fight plays out. Not just in the relationship, but in the inbox, the exchange summaries, the time-stamped orders, the phrasing in legal letters. This isn't about being right, it's about being ready. What comes next isn't theory, it's real email threads, real responses, real exchanges that held up under cross. I'm pulling 5 examples from my own custody situation. You'll get the strategy reads, the legal responses, filing protocol, and how every message was logged. Because it's not your mental models that are on trial, it's your paper trail. Disclaimer, I'm not a lawyer, and this isn't legal advice. I'm just a father who's been through the ringer. Court dates, custody orders, and more emails that I care to count. What follows is what worked for me. Use only what's useful, and if you're in it, get a real lawyer. Example 1. The binding agreement bluff. Subject line. Pending review of final draft agreement. I am following my right in Clause 6 to review the documentation before signing. The agreement was always conditional on me being comfortable with the final version. Please don't pressure me into this. Emma. She spent 2 months acting like we had a deal. Her tone was final until come signature time, then suddenly invokes Clause 6 like it's a magical eject button. That line, I have to be comfortable. It's a feeling, not a clause. It's emotional leverage dressed up in Timu-grade legalese. She reframed the entire agreement as draft with only one sentence. She's not lying, of course, because she actually believes it. My lawyer fired back within hours. Our position is that no binding agreement exists. Your client's recent statements contradict earlier representations. Clause 6 does not provide a unilateral opt-out. Further, your client has introduced new terms not discussed at mediation. This is not a final agreement and cannot be relied upon for enforcement. We then attached a PDF timeline showing all prior references to the agreement as final. Every implementation line, every as per our agreement phrase, all of it. We cited McKenzie versus McKenzie, which is textbook on consensus ad idem, no mutual intention, no contract. Most guys will try to argue with her. But you said, Frame isn't reminding her, it's preemptively logging and providing the pattern before she pivots. Covert contract detection isn't just for the relationship, it's for the retainer agreement too. Example number 2, the Christmas switcheroo, holiday deviations and precedent bait. Leo will be staying with Emma December 24th through December 27th, and again January 1st to 3rd. I know this deviates slightly from your regular weekends with Leo, but we believe this is fair and reflects the holiday spirit. Emma is also offering you January 6th to 7th in exchange. Opposing counsel. This was her trying to hijack the calendar through holiday semantics. She wasn't asking, she was announcing. Every email CC is a spotlight. wrapped in holiday spirit and generosity in an attempt to reset my parenting time. The exchange she offered wasn't even equivalent. She knew exactly what she was doing, using the warmth of the season as camouflage for a custody shift. We replied with a concise and cold memo. My client is not prepared to agree to a deviation from the custody order without reciprocal and equivalent make-up time. The proposed exchange is not equivalent and appears to reduce his parenting time under the guise of flexibility. We request adherence to the current agreement. I then followed up directly. Unless mutually agreed in writing, all parenting schedules will follow the custody order. I am available to review fair options if you propose actual equivalency. And nothing came back, which is exactly what I needed. Goodwill gestures become evidence against you if you don't track them. The moment you agree to a lopsided exchange for peace, it becomes next year's status quo. If you don't learn to say no in November, you'll likely lose Christmas forever. Example number 3, the soft relocation launch. Subject line, long-term planning ideas for Leo. I've been thinking about what's best for me and Leo long-term. Maybe a fresh start somewhere like the island. Of course, nothing is certain, and I'm just floating ideas. Emma. This was not innocent musing. This was a setup. The key phrases, nothing is certain, just floating ideas, are a legal smokescreen. If I ignored it, she'd call it notice. If I responded emotionally, she'd say I was unstable. It was bait, plain and simple. She wanted to soft launch a relocation narrative that she could hard launch later with a fake history baked in. I logged the message and immediately documented my reply. Per the agreement, any relocation must be discussed through legal counsel. Please direct any such proposals through your lawyer. I alerted my lawyer and documented that this was the first time she raised the topic. We preserved it for potential notice of relocation disputes. I also pulled the relocation clause from our agreement and had it ready to reference. RP theory teaches that women float covert demands and escalate when unchallenged. Court strategy takes it a step further. You turn soft launches into landmines. You make every vague, just thinking message a time-stamped liability. She's playing chess while you play audit. Example number 4. The therapist as a weapon. Subject line, therapist observations on transitions. Leo's counselor mentioned that transitions are creating anxiety for him, especially on Sunday returns. I wanted to share this and see if you might be open to reducing the transition frequency, maybe even every second weekend instead. Emma. She didn't say, the therapist recommends this. She said, the counselor mentioned. That's how you build a narrative without triggering formal rules. She controlled the provider, withheld consent forms, and expected me to fold based on secondhand emotion. This wasn't co-parenting. It was tactical weaponization of authority. I replied fast and formally. Please provide a copy of the original referral, signed consent, and any formal recommendations from the counselor. I was not consulted on this, and no parenting time changes will be considered without legal coordination and professional review. I then called the clinic. Hi, I'm Leo's father. I'd like to confirm if I'm listed as a parent on file, and I'm requesting access to all his records and progress notes involving my son. The conversation ended there. When I pushed harder, they stopped replying. I forwarded all correspondence to my lawyer and requested a cease and desist on unilateral therapeutic action. This is where most men eat paint. Exactly what Ryan Stone meant. They take the bait and talk instead of demand protocol. Frame doesn't mean calm. Frame means isolating the manipulation and calling the bluff with her own tools. She raises tone, you raise transcripts. The false attachment frame, example number 5, best interests weaponization. Subject line, concerns regarding parenting plan stability. Given the attachment between a young child and the mother, and the instability created by being passed between care providers, we urge your client to consider a parenting plan that limits midweek transitions. Opposing counsel. This was a strategic smear. Buried in lawyer language is the implication that I'm unstable, disorganized, and disrupting Leo's emotional well-being. The term passed between care providers was a subtle jab designed to equate my current work schedule with negligence. They wanted the court to picture a kid in a revolving door while mom lights candles and sings Kumbaya. We shot back with a full parenting care dossier. I had everything on file: support roster, school handoffs, meal routines, calendar screenshots. We replied. Attached is a timeline showing consistent pickup drop-off patterns, care arrangements, and communication logs. Any disruption has occurred primarily due to Emma's last-minute changes. I maintain stable primary care during all parenting windows. We then requested that any future claims about attachment or stability be supported with third-party assessments or court-sanctioned professionals, not armchair legal theory. You don't need to match tone. You just need to reply like a lawyer ghost wrote your message. Most dads try to clear the air. Stop this. The only thing you clear in court is the path to admissibility. If she paints you as unstable, you don't cry about it, you print. Frame doesn't matter unless it survives cross-examination. Bonus breakdown, one more that didn't make the cut, but deserved its own tab in the binder. The schedule micromanage attempt, precedent creep and overwrites. Subject line, updated Leo calendar for clarification and review. I've attached a revised version of the calendar that reflects our conversations. I believe it's clearer this way and avoids any unnecessary disruptions. Let me know if you have any concerns or would like to propose further changes. Emma. This wasn't just a clarification, it was an overwrite. She sent her own calendar, subtly shifting exchange times and compressing windows. The language was passive, but the goal was control. She wanted my agreement in writing so she could later cite it as precedent. The subject line said clarification, but the intent was schedule capture. I replied with a screenshot of our previously agreed schedule with annotations showing her proposed changes. My message? Let's stick to the format and times outlined in the custody order unless mutually updated in writing and filed. I'm not agreeing to changes that haven't been formally discussed or legally reviewed. I flagged it to counsel as a preemptive move, and no reply came. The silence? Noted and saved. She doesn't need a court order to change the schedule, just your casual consent. Every clarified calendar you let slide becomes her new Exhibit A. You don't need to fight every edit, you just need to log your no. Final word. Why the green binder matters. The inbox is the courtroom. Every casual message, every just checking in and holiday thought is potential ammo and attempt at narrative control. If you treat co-parenting like a trust exercise, you'll get legally suplexed by a woman who's been rehearsing this script since the first consult. Emma didn't escalate by accident. She escalated because she was allowed to frame the narrative first. Frame doesn't live in your posture, it lives in your paperwork. Frame that holds up in court is an emotional posture, it's documented consistency. It isn't about swallowing pride, it's about systematizing your receipts so her story folds under scrutiny. Frame that can't survive cross-examination is just posturing. Masculine clarity is only useful if it survives legal scrutiny. Every reasonable email you send without asserting structure is just another entry into her exhibit. And that's what tactical fatherhood is. It's red pill principles put through a cross-examination filter. The judge isn't reading your heart, he's scanning your timestamps.